How's it going, guys? Alright, we're going to be doing a dual battery setup on my 1998 Land Rover Discovery. And this is all the stuff that we're going to have to get out of the way right here. So the chuck, the intake, the power steering up reservoir, all that. So, we got to make some room in the front corner to fit that battery. Starting off with the chuck, that's pretty easy. And then the jack, it's even easier if it wasn't strapped down like mine. Just yank that thing out of there. And intake horn. Okay, so don't be like me, don't use a ratchet. If you have an impact, use that. You will save a lot of time. But pull the two 10 mils that are holding down that bracket. It's pretty easy, pretty self-explanatory. Lefty loosey, pull them out. So there's one bracket out, and then we got to pull the strap now. That's a hold down strap for the jack. We're gonna have to cut that guy right there and relocate that. Like I said, that power steering, it's not gonna be in this video, neither is the battery hold down. Those will be shorts. Keep an eye out for those. I think these are also 10 mil, if I remember right. Been a couple of weeks since I've put this system in. Here you get to witness my neighbor distracting me. He was telling me something crazy. Don't know why I didn't cut that. All right, and there's the battery. Gotta bring that guy over and measure, double check before you start cutting stuff. Measure twice, cut once, or something like that. I was really hoping I didn't have to move the power steering reservoir. I found out that you kind of do. So here I'm loosening the radiator support that the power steering support is attached to. Get that sucker out of the way. Again, why didn't I use the impact? I don't know. Do yourself a favor, take the intake box out, cut this outside of the engine bay because you're going to have to take it out to clean it anyway. And use a sawzall or something. Don't use a handsaw. Took forever. Like my dad says, I just like to struggle sometimes, All right, got the intake horn out of the way. Now to place the battery in there and see how we're doing on space. So that battery's a 81 amp hour 24M AGM battery. I'm not going to be out there for a long time. I just want to be able to power a fridge essentially without leaving myself stranded. I recently went to Australia and everybody out there has a fridge, and I was like, you know what? I want a fridge. So this is the first half of that. So there's the battery in. As you can see, it clears, it fits nice. Here's the kit that I used. It's the SBI12KIT from Redarc. The Land Rover this Land Rover doesn't have a smart alternator. I'm not putting in a lithium battery, so a DC to DC charger isn't really needed per se. Would it be nice? Yeah, especially if you want to regulate current. But this here is what I went with. It's going to be a super simple setup. I'm not trying to overdo it or anything like that. So here I just laid out the wires. So there you can see the starting battery wire, and here's the the auxiliary battery wire. So here's me mounting it. I'm gonna mount this guy up, get it screwed in. I went with the firewall location. This kit made it so easy, I have zero complaints. So here I am adding the lug cover to the wire before I screw it in. Got that on. I am going to use the bracket that's holding down the windshield washer fluid. I'm going to use that to ground the little logic board that's on the isolator. So you'll notice that little black wire there. It's going up. Yeah, I grounded that to the chassis using the bracket as the bolt, or using the bracket bolt as the hold down. Whatever, you know what I mean. Alright, so now I gotta fish the start wire under those two brackets that hold the windshield washer fluid. I went ahead and screwed that onto the lug that's for the start battery. If you do use one of these isolators, make sure you put your start battery on the correct post. It's the one with the red square. I've done it in the past where I hook it up to the other side and it doesn't work at all. Well, it works, but not in the way that it's designed to work. Okay, so here I'm zip tying up some slack, some wires. Here I'm just trying to get a game plan of how I'm going to run this. So I'm going to go down and under the windshield washer fluid, getting my length here. Now I'm just coiling up that wire, zip tying it. Just making sure that it's coiled up, it's out of the way. So I tuck it down into the little corner that's over there, and then I run the rest of the wire down and under. There's actually a harness down there, so if you run your wire this way, you can just zip tie to that. I actually didn't record the part where I went back and added zip ties, but you can add zip ties pretty much all the way through. So here is the start battery run. So it comes off of the positive battery into a fuse case. It's provided in the kit. And then it goes down and under, goes all the way back into the isolator. So back here, I'll show you, is where I added some more zip ties in there. And you got to make sure when you run something like this that it's not going to get cut or abrased by anything. So I had to skip a little bit ahead, it started to rain on me, so that's what it ended up looking like. Here is the auxiliary battery run. So just firewall, defender into the battery. I grounded the battery at the radiator support. There it is working.
Alright, so what I'm going to do here is...
So here, what I'm going to do now is repurpose the select switch. I don't know what this switch did. This is for you guys with the stock stereo. I have an aftermarket stereo. So, rather than a switch that doesn't do anything, I'm going to put it to use. So I'm going to take that switch and make it the merge. So here it is installed. I ran the override. You see the little blue wire there? That one. I ran it to the switch, and then I ran power from the auxiliary post on the isolator to pin 1 and pin 4 on the switch, and I disconnected all the chassis power that was coming to that switch. So now I can go ahead and hit the select button, and what that does is it'll activate see the red LEDs on now. It'll bond the two batteries so that I can start the engine from the auxiliary battery. It comes in handy if your starting battery dies. Like I said, there's a couple things that I didn't cover in this video. Keep an eye out for those on shorts, like the mounting for the power steering and the battery hold down. Those will be shorts. Thanks for watching, guys.